Ankle fractures are common lower limb fractures. They range from simple medial malleolus fracture to multiple fractures, open fractures, complex fractures. There are so many different classification systems are there. One classification which is based on the mechanism of injury is Lodge-Hansen classification. The supination adduction type of injuries, supination external rotation, pronation abduction, pronation and external rotation type of injuries. Clinical symptoms and investigations. Patients will usually come to emergency or an orthopedic clinic with the pain, swelling, deformity and difficulty in walking after twisting injury or a motor vehicle accident. You have to stabilize the patient and do an X-ray of the joint inward, epilateral, and if it shows a fracture, you can do a CT scan if it is a complicated fracture. After sprinting the patient and stabilizing the patient, then we have to decide about the operative or non-operative treatment. In majority of the times, ankle fractures are treated by surgical method. Sometimes you can treat it with the non-operative. Also, isolated non-displaced medial malleolus fracture or tip of avulsion fractures, isolated lateral malleolus fracture with less than 3 mm displacement and no talar shift, bimalleolar fracture in elderly who are unable to undergo surgical intervention, posterior malleolar fracture with less than 25% of joint involvement or less than 2 mm step up. These fractures can be treated by conservative method. Indications for surgery. There is a broad consensus on the following two indications for the surgical fixation of ankle fractures. One is an unstable mortise with a medial clear space widening. Second is displaced bi and trimalleolar fracture patterns. Whether to admit or to do surgery in outpatient care depends upon the patient condition. There was a study published in JBJ's 2016. According to this, outpatient care for operative fixation of closed fractures regardless of the severity has been confirmed to be safe and effective in patients with a minimal comorbidities. The patient is fit, young, you can do a daycare procedure. Coming to the use of the implants. The use of the metallic implants to maintain a reduction after surgery remains the standard of care, despite multiple attempts to develop a biodegradable implants that deliver comparable outcomes. The outcomes associated with the use of a biodegradable plate and screws for ankle fractures were inferior to those with a metallic plate and screws. Biodegradable implants takes a longer operative time, more expensive, and it is technically difficult. What is the importance of osteocartilaginous injury? It is wise to carefully evaluate preoperative imaging and examine articular surfaces intraoperatively whenever possible to look for osteocartilaginous injuries. Cartilage damage anywhere in the ankle joint is associated with suboptimal clinical and radiographic outcomes. Initial cartilage damage seen arthroscopically following an ankle fracture is an independent predictor of the development of post-traumatic osteoarthritis. Cartilage lesions and the development of osteoarthritis after internal fixation of ankle fractures. Initial cartilage damage seen arthroscopically after an ankle fracture is an independent predictor of post-traumatic osteoarthritis. Lesions on the talus and tibia are associated with negative long-term results, whereas lesions on the fibula don't correlate with a worse long-term outcome. Specifically, deep lesions on the anterior and lateral aspects of the talus and on the medial malleolus correlated with an unfavorable clinical outcome. Morbidity and mortality associated with the geriatric ankle fractures. Ankle fractures are the third most common extremity fractures in old age. The geriatric patient with ankle fracture who also presents with diabetes, neuropathy or osteopenia continues to remain a treatment challenge. Ankle fractures are more likely to occur in geriatric patients with a lower risk of 1-year mortality. More aggressive and less expectant management of geriatric patients with ankle fractures. Articular incongruity is associated with the short-term clinical outcomes of operatively treated supination external rotation type 4 ankle fractures. The presence of a post-operative articular incongruity of more than 2 mm correlated with the inferior clinical outcomes at an average of 21 months post-operatively. Orthopedic surgeons should scrutinize ankle fracture reductions carefully and strive for perfection in fracture reduction to allow the best possible patient outcome. Posterior malleolar ankle fractures. The functional outcomes of the posterior malleolar fractures are reported to be significantly worse than the outcomes for the unimalleolar and bimalleolar ankle fractures. Pre-operative radiographic and CT findings predicting the syndesmotic injuries in supination external rotation type ankle fractures. Concurrent syndesmotic injuries need to be evaluated and appropriately managed in SCR type of ankle fractures, especially when the lateral malleolar fracture line begins 7 mm above the ankle joint line or a medial joint space is more than 4.5 mm on radiographs. Risk factors for deep surgical site infection following operative treatment of ankle fractures. Reported rate of surgical site infection following operative treatment of ankle fractures varies considerably, ranging from 1.4 to 5.5%. Infection rates as high as 19% have been reported in diabetic patients. Recognition of risk factors such as diabetes, smoking, alcohol abuse, and compromised soft tissue is very important. Improper timing of antibiotic prophylaxis, suboptimal control of preoperative blood glucose levels, and use of drain or non-occlusive wound dressings are associated with high rates of infection. Syndesmotic injuries are either fixed with a screw or a tight rope. The over-tightening of syndesmosis after ankle fracture causes increased tibio-talar space. It is better to scrutinize intraoperative radiographs to evaluate potential talar destruction. Additionally, comparison of radiographs of the contralateral ankle can be essential component of preoperative and intraoperative assessment of ankle fractures with a syndesmotic disruption. The incidence of the thromboembolic events in surgically treated ankle fractures. Clinically detectable thromboembolic events of surgical treatment of ankle fractures are uncommon. Less than 5% patients had symptomatic DVT and less than 0.4% patients had pulmonary embolism. Currently, there is no evidence that exists to guide orthopedic surgeons in the use of thromboprophylaxis after surgical treatment of ankle fractures. That means prophylaxis is not required, just only ankle and toe movements are enough in ankle fractures. Management of ankle fractures in patients with diabetes. Patients with diabetes mellitus have higher complication rates following both open and closed management of ankle fractures. Diabetic patients with neuropathy or vasculopathy have higher complication rates than both diabetic patients without these complications. Unstable ankle fractures in diabetic patients without neuropathy or vasculopathy are best treated with open reduction and internal fixation with use of standard techniques. Patients with neuropathy or vasculopathy are at increased risk for both soft tissue and osseous complications, including delayed union and non-union. Careful soft tissue management as well as stable rigid internal fixation are crucial to obtaining good outcome. Prolonged non-weight bearing and subsequently protected weight bearing are recommended following both operative and non-operative management of ankle fractures in patients with diabetes. Management of syndesmotic disruption in ankle fractures. Anatomic restoration of fibular length, alignment, and rotation is very important for accurate syndesmotic reduction. Accuracy of syndesmotic reduction can be improved by reduction and fixation of the posterior malleus and open reduction of the syndesmosis. Post-operative or intraoperative CT scan is the best reliable method of assessing the accuracy of syndesmotic reduction. There is no consensus regarding any aspects of syndesmotic stabilization, including method of reduction, the device used for stabilization like metal screws, titanium screws, suture button, bioabsorbable implant, and number of screws, number of cortices engaged, and retention or removal of screws. Syndesmotic malreduction is common and if left uncorrected is associated with the inferior functional outcomes when compared with those of an anatomic syndesmotic reduction. Effect of posterior malleolar fracture on syndesmotic reduction. The overall anterior posterior reduction of the syndesmosis was generally unaffected by a posterior malleolar fracture except when there was a malreduction of a large fragment. Medial and lateral syndesmotic reduction was affected by the conditions of the posterior malleolar fixation, with the malreduction of the posterior malleolus leading to syndesmotic malreduction. We have to reduce the posterior malleolus fragment if it is big. Techniques and consideration for the operative treatment of ankle fractures in the elderly. In managing fragility fractures about the ankle, non-operative treatment should be considered with the caveat that soft tissue integrity is the utmost importance. Consideration with the medical and nutritional services for the co-management of elderly patients with the fragility ankle fractures improves outcome. Soft tissue preservation in the elderly is optimized with the judicious use of tourniquet. In elderly patients, congruent ankle joint with the axial alignment and stability should be emphasized over achieving anatomic articular reduction. Less invasive surgical techniques such as percutaneously placed anterior to posterior screws for posteromalleolar fractures and intramedullary fibular fixation should be considered in the elderly. Construct stability in the elderly patient is maximized with the use of lateral locking plates, tibia fibula screws, bicortical medial screws. The use of external fixation with the hydroxyapatite coated pins should be considered in the treatment of fragility fractures in the elderly patients. Coming to the complications, common complications are wound problems, deep infections, Mauryanian, postoperative stiffness, post-traumatic arthritis. This is one more question which commonly arises to a lot of people, whether to remove or to keep implant in the ankle area. The foot and ankle implants may be specifically bothersome to patients because of the limited amount of soft tissues in the foot and ankle and the demands of the weight bearing activities and the shoe wear. We usually remove the ankle implant.